Hello everybody and welcome to the first video in the series to make this vintage correspondence case. Thanks very much for booking your place. I hope you've had fun gathering all your supplies together, and I'm going to take you through now step by step how I put it together. So the first thing we're going to start and do is cut the chipboard pieces if you haven't cut yours already, and I'll take you through the sizes, and put them together, bind them all together with your chosen paper. I've used, let me tell you which one it is. It's the Communique Collection Pen in Hand, and the back side of it, which I really like. But I know the Communique papers are now really hard to get hold of. It's, I think, my favourite of all the collections that Graphic 45 have done, and I really don't want to cut into the papers that I've got left, because that will be it. So I'm not sure whether you're using these papers or whether you've chosen your own, but to cover the book you need 3 of the same paper. So let's move the book out of the way and take you through the pieces that we've got. So I've laid them out on top of the paper just so that you can see how they're going to be fitted together or stuck together. So we've got 2 pieces that are 11 inches by 8 inches, one piece, let's move it over, on the far side that is 6 by 11 inches, and then a 3/4 inch spine that is 11 inches, and a 1.5 inch spine that is also 11 inches. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chipboard pieces in all, and that's 2mm chipboard for our cover. So let's just move those out of the way. The first thing we need to do is to stick the papers together. Now I'm using 2 12 by 12 sheets, and I'm leaving this white edge on. Don't cut it off, because the paper is 12 by 12, our book height is 11 inches, and we need that little extra to fold over on the insides. So don't cut it off. So we've got 2 sheets that are 12 by 12, and then a 6 by 12 piece as well, and that gives us the right length to cover the whole of the book. So now I'm going to stick them together just with some double-sided tape, and I'm going to put the tape right along, if you can see, the edge, very edge of the 6 by 12 piece. Flatten it down, take the backing strip off, and move these out of the way. You can see what I'm doing. I haven't got my little knife. Let me find my little knife. I can't do it without him. I don't know where he's gone. I can spend hours peeling these off. Done it. And then I'm just going to overlap the first sheet. There's no pattern match on these papers. It's not like wallpapering. So I'm just going to line them up just so that I cover over, whoops, that tape that I've stuck down. So that's sheet number 1 added, and then I'm going to do the same with the second piece. So tape right down as near to the edge as you can get it. Stick it down. If I stick it down really firmly, it should peel off. Yay! Okay, and then put the second piece over the top. So it's only got about 1/4 inch overlap, and I've used the 3mm tape here. So now that they are stuck together, I'm going to turn them over because this is the side that I want to be facing outwards. I love this side. I can't believe I'm going to cover it up, but we are. So starting with the spine, this is the 1.5 inch spine, I'm just going to, and working from left to right, let me work from your left to right. Okay. And then this will be the right way for you. So I'm just going to place these pieces on the paper in the right order to start with. I'm not necessarily going to stick them where they are. So you should have 8 by 11, 1.5 by 11, 8 by 11, 3/4 by 11, 6 by 11, working from left to right. And the next thing to do is to put some double-sided tape on. We'll start with the 1.5 inch spine. So I'm going to stand up to do this. So I'm just going to put, you could use your ATG gun for this, which is probably quicker, or thicker tape. In fact, I might get my thicker tape. And I so need to, let me just find my knife while you're watching the paper. It was on the table, but it appears to have vanished, so I have to use another one. Here's one. Right, let's strip these off. And I'm going to turn it over, try and centre it top and bottom, and I'm butting it up against the join in the two pieces of paper. So that's piece number 1 down. Then I'm going to take my shim, put some tape on the back of this one, so I'm just going to use the thicker tape. Put some tape down the middle of these big ones because you want the paper to stick and not bubble up. So it just needs to be secured firmly. Let's take the backing strips off. Two. This one doesn't want to come off. 3. 4. Now, taking your shim, put that between the spine that you've stuck down and the one that you're just going to stick down. Turn it over and line it up top and bottom with your spine that you've stuck down. If you have problems doing this, you can always use a ruler. Let me just get the ruler. And just line the ruler across the piece that you've stuck down so that the next piece goes on straight as well. The shim is 2 pieces of chipboard that you're using stuck together, and that gives you a nice gap here between each of the pieces, which means that your book will fold really nicely. So I'm going to stick that one down, and then I'm going to do the other large piece. So let's put some tape on. this is just cheap double-sided tape that I'm using, and I like it because it rips. You don't have to use the scissors every time you come to want to cut it. Let's take the backing strips off. Oop. Doesn't want to come off. Last one. Am I still on camera? No. Okay. Turn it over, move your ruler, so your ruler gives you a nice right angle. Put your shim down and then line up top and bottom. Unstick yourself from the board and stick it down. So that's your front and back cover and spine added. Now we're going to move this way and do the same with the narrow spine. So just one piece of tape down the middle of this one. I can't remember how, is that 6 millimeters, that one? Might be a bit more actually. Turn it over, move your ruler along. There's my shim. Put my shim in and then line that one up with the ruler. Drop it down. And then just one more to go. So again, tape on. I've done 4 strips again to make sure that it stays well stuck to the cover paper. Peel it off. Turn it over. Move the ruler along, put your shim in, drop your piece down and stick it to the paper. And that, if you fold it up very carefully, is our book. Now we've got to fold the edges over. So before we do that, we need to just mitre the corners. So let me show you. Let's get one on the camera. I can't work it out. Oh yeah, here. I'm just going to cut the corner off, leaving 1/8 of an inch of paper between the corner of the chipboard and where I've cut. And I'm going to do that for all 4 corners. And you'll see why in a minute. Let's just do that one. The next thing to do is to put sticky tape, and I'm working at the edge that's away from me, all the way along the edge of each piece, not one continuous piece all the way across. Because we don't want the tape to be dropping into these gaps in between the chipboard. So that's it, I've done them all, and take the backing pieces off. as I can. Oops. Right, move that. Next thing is, with that edge away from you, so the edge that's got the tape on, lift all of your pieces up and just bend them down to start and lift this edge. And then very carefully, working from the middle, just run your fingers along the back of the paper and just ease it up towards the chipboard edge, and that will start to give you a really nice crease. And then, without forcing it down, just fold it over and stick it down onto the tape that you've put on. If you start in the middle, then it should stick evenly all the way across. And then once you've stuck it down, just gently ease the paper into the fold where you've got the gap between your chipboard pieces. You could use your bone tool for that. Let's do that one. It just gives a nice finish, and then your whole book will fold nicely. And then turn it round and do the same with the other edge. So tape on each of the pieces. I'm using the wider tape. Oops. And I'm putting the tape right up at the edge of the chipboard. Take the backing strips off. I love the smell of this paper, it's really, really gorgeous. It's almost got a musty, old smell to it. I'm sure it isn't, I'm sure it is the ink finishes, but I haven't smelt any other paper like it. Right, and then do the same. Start by lifting it up and pushing it down away from you to start that fold off, and then run your fingers across the back of the paper, easing the paper towards the edge of the chipboard, which lifts it up again, and then starting in the middle, just very gently, without forcing it, just fold over. It's about a ½ an inch we've got on this. And fold that. And then again fold each of those creases to get the paper to fold into them. If you're not careful, it wants to fold, it wants to bubble upwards, but if you just ease it into that fold, it will go in, and it just gives that nice finish. Okay, so once we've done the sides, I'm going to turn it round. You'll need to fold up. What I've done is fold up that bit so that I can work on this piece here. I'm going to put tape not right up to the edge. I'm just going to bring it in slightly because I don't want it to show where I've cut those corners off. take that backing piece off. Now before I fold this up, I'm just going to push down and inwards the little bit of paper that I've got poking up past the corner. So just flatten them inwards, and that covers those corners. And then we're going to do exactly the same. Just lift your book up, start that paper fold, and then ease it over and stick it down. And if you do that, you'll find you get really neat corners. And I'm going to turn it round and do the same on the other side. So tape not right up to the edge on this piece. If you use the wider tape, it is strong enough to hold these folded flaps down. Or the tape gun. Okay, so I'm going to fold it, move that corner, and then just ease it over on itself. And that gives us our really nice binder. And you can move just wiggle it about just to get those folds started. And then the next thing we're going to do is, if you want to do it, where's my other book? Let's bring it back in. Excuse me. I did put a binding on, and I joined two pieces of card together. If you've got a piece of card that's long enough, or a piece of cardstock that is long enough, it's got to be 12 inches plus, then you could use one piece. But I've cut two pieces, or one piece of A4 card in half, so the dimensions for that are 5.5 inches. Here they are. So it was a piece like that. So width-wise it is 8 inches, and it's now cut at 8 by 5.5. And what I'm going to do is stick that together like that, and that's going to form my spine. It's going to go over here. So let's do that. So again, I'm going to stick the two together with the wider double-sided tape. Show short edges together. Line them up and stick them. And then I embossed that with the Baroque embossing folder. This is the Tim Holtz Baroque embossing folder, and if you cut your piece of paper at 5.5 inches, it fits very nicely into the embossing folder. You can't do it all in one piece, but you can do it in sections. Let's just fit it in like that. So I'm going to run this through my Cuttlebug, working down, set it straight, down the piece to emboss it, and then I'll be back to show you how I attached it to the book. So here's my piece now, stuck together in the centre and embossed. I've run it through 4 times, and if you look very carefully you can see the lines of each embossing section, but actually when it's on the book you don't really notice it. And we're going to buff it up with a bit of gold mica powder. So if you're using more than one piece, I think that's actually okay. The next thing I did was to turn it over, and I cut myself half a piece of half an inch width of chipboard, and using it as a measure along the edge, I did what we did at the edge of the book and held that down flat and folded the paper up over towards this edge of the chipboard, because this piece is too long to score unless you've got a really big guillotine or paper cutter. So I just used this as my rule and folded my paper up to give me a 1/2 inch fold over edge, which gives it a bit more strength on the book. And then the other side I did in exactly the same way, but I only did it 1/4 inch. And then I've put double-sided tape down on both of these edges. So let's bring the book back in. Now this is actually far too long for the book, so I'm going to trim it now. And I'm going to trim about 1 inch off either end. It doesn't need to be straight, because no, you're not going to see these edges. A bit more of that one. Trim that one. And now we're going to stick it down onto our book cover. And what that does is cover up, we have got a join somewhere, oh yeah, here. There is a join in the paper. You can't really see it, but if we bind the book and cover that up, then it won't have a chance to rip. So let's open the cover out and just put it flat on the table. I want this, I'm going to use the thicker edge on the front and the thinner folded edge towards the back. Now the paper should be straight on here, so I'm going to take the tape off this. It's quite hard to get the backing tapes off embossed pieces. No, I'm going to fold it up so I can see where I'm. That's better. Fold it like that, and I want it to sit. I think I'm going to go down. I'm going to use these as a guide, this one here, and line this up so that the edge runs through the centre of each one of those patterns. She says that's easier said than done. And press it down at the back. Okay. Just going to really press it down there. And then it is fiddly. And then I'm going to fold it round and just ease the back piece down. So I'm going to take this back tape off now. It's worth just taking your time and making sure that you've got that binding lined up straight. Okay, so now I'm just going to ease it round, ease it round, ease it round. I think that's stuck. I haven't put any sticky down the spine because I don't really want it to stick to the spine. So I've just eased that over. Now I'm going to have a look at it. So it's okay on the front. And okay on the back. So I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to just open it up. open it up, and fold these edges over. I'm just going to put some double-sided tape along over the paper that we folded from front to back. Let's take the backing strip off, and let's fold that over, keeping it quite tight to the top edge of the book. Stick it down and again ease it into the gap that you've got between your two chipboard pieces, spine and front and spine and back, just so that it fits nicely into, can you see, like that, and then do the same with the other side. I'll do it this way actually, it'll be better for you. So tape on the paper, lift the tape off, and then fold your spine up and over, keeping it as tight as you can to the edge of your book, and then just ease it into those gaps between your spine and your covers, and then that will fold up really nicely, and that's your bound book. So I hope you've enjoyed making that. In the next video we're going to start building up the pages, and then right at the end we're going to finish the front cover off. So I'll be back shortly with the next video. Thanks for watching.